Hyundais, we don't want to buy a Hyundai because, they got a bad reputation. They said, come on back, it's a new company, it's a bunch of new cars, we got a big warranty, nothing's going to go wrong with it, but if it does, we're going to pay for it, you're not going to pay for it. So if you're a manufacturer that's going to put a really big warranty on something, and you're building a substandard product, guess what? Every car you sell is going to cost you a lot of money, right? Yeah. So if you're going to put a big old warranty on something like that, it's got to be a good vehicle. So we're doing 5 and 100 on the Titans.
All right.
So, and they're not coming back. I mean, they're really, really good trucks. So you guys should all buy one, okay? Come on, you get a good deal here too. Anyway, let's keep rolling. You guys know the Titan models. We first came out along with the crew cab. So let me back up for a sec. If we see a Titan and it says XD on the side, what does XD stand for?
Extreme duty.
Extreme duty? No.
Something diesel?
No. You're closer over here. Not heavy duty, not light duty, but
Extra duty.
extra duty. Extra duty. So also known as a heavy half-ton back in the old days.
Heavy half
We
ton.
still classify the XD as a half-ton, but it's pretty big. It looks more like a 2500, right? So remember, yeah, it never said, it doesn't mean XD. XD doesn't mean extra diesel either. We hear that all the time. What does that mean, extra diesel? What is an extra diesel? Is there an extra diesel in the trunk or what? What, right? So extra duty is one, okay? The whole point behind extra duty, if it says extra duty on the side, what does that tell me about that specific truck? I'm thinking about the frame.
Rigid. Tough.
The actual frame that's in it though. What other vehicle has that frame in it? It's big. It's the biggest truck we make for America.
The F-150?
Big van. It's a big
Oh, the
van.
van.
The big NV, right? 3500, the big van.
Oh yeah, the 2500.
That's got the big frame on it. So that's got an XD frame as well. This truck, the XD Titan is built on top of that frame.
Oh wow.
So it's bigger than the previous frame, okay? So that was the first vehicle we brought up. We brought up the XD. The whole point about bringing out the XD at the time, and this was our strategy, was that every year in America, close to 200,000 people will trade in their 1500 and go up to a 2500. Light duty to heavy duty because they buy maybe a bigger trailer. Maybe their F-150 or whatever they might be driving at the time, they buy a new toy haul or put a bunch of toys in it, now it weighs too much. So they gotta buy something bigger, right? So we're trying to get those people that are migrating from a 1500 to a 2500 because we're somewhere in the middle of those, right? At the same time, there's people that buy a 2500, they're driving around a 2500, maybe they sell their big old trailer and now they're going to downsize their trailer, they don't need the 2500 or they get rid of their trailer altogether. If anybody has a 2500, pickup truck and you're driving around the city and stuff like that, it's not that comfortable for the most part. So some guys love it, but it's kind of a big, unruly truck for the most part to be just tooling around it versus a 1500. So there's a lot of people that will migrate down from a 2500 back down to a 1500. So we said, let's build something that's kind of in the middle to get those people that are traveling up or down in size on their pickup trucks. Okay, so that's what we did. So did it work? Sales are getting better. Did it come off the bat? Did it work right off the bat? Yeah, not necessarily, but we're sticking to it.
There you go.
So, and that's one of the reasons we got in bed with Cummins is that you think about American truck, think about how American that name Cummins is, right? That's like, it doesn't get much more American than that. So nobody else has that engine in a vehicle. So anyway, that was the whole point behind it. So we brought that vehicle out first and it was in crew cab size, right? Then about a year and a half ago, we started doing the ride and drives and things like that. Carson was the one we did that down here. Prior to that, we brought out the regular Titan, the standard Titan, which was built on a revised version of the previous platform. Okay, so you guys know that we have two size Titans, the big XD and the standard Titan. The standard Titan is the actual replacement for the previous Titan, but the XD, that's the brand new truck that we built to try to get those people that were migrating up and down between vehicles. Okay, so if I want to buy a diesel, what truck do I have to buy to get a diesel in it?
XD.
XD. Can I get a diesel? Can I get an XD without a diesel?
Yes.
Right, you guys know that, right? What size is that motor or that engine?
5.7.
5 point, yes, 5.6. So the neat thing was that 5.6 driveline, you could actually get that in the XD as the non-diesel driveline, or if you buy a non-XD Titan, that truck has the 5.6 driveline in it only.
5.6. Okay.
Right, does that make sense? Great motor, great engine, for sure, okay? So then a little while after that, we brought out the single cabs. You guys have many single cabs here?
Yes.
Yeah, like how many? A couple or?
Two.
Okay, is there any action on the single cabs?
No.
Well, there should be, darn it, come on.
There will be.
There will be. And the cool thing about it, you can get single cab in XD, so the big single cab, or you can get a smaller standard Titan single cab if you want, okay? So there's that. The latest one we brought out, just 3 months ago now or so, something like that, the King Cab. So remember the king cab is between these two guys. It's got 4 doors on it, but those second row doors, they open up the
Inside,
suicide
yeah.
doors, right?
Okay.
So they open up that way. Do you guys have any of those on the lot?
I think we
Not
have
at the
one.
moment, not here.
You get
but
people calling?
we do.
People calling about it?
Let's go.
Probably not, okay.
They will be.
They will be, thank you, that's a good attitude.
They will be.
I realize we're not a big, massive truck dealership, but this is some of the background behind this vehicle, right?
Okay.
So anyway, there's that. Let's keep on rolling. What else can I talk about? Competitors, like we mentioned earlier, remember, trying to get people to come over from other brands, really, really difficult. These guys are all big. I'll show you a pie chart in a minute to show some sales. F-150, biggest, number one selling vehicle in America, right? Especially the white one. So you want to buy that contractor special, buy a white F-150. There will always be demand for white F-150s out there, right?
Yeah.
So, get one of those crazy colors, not quite as much. But number 2 seller always is the Silverado. Ford keeps on going up every year. They had a really good year last year again. Last few years in a row, they do pretty well. Silverado's been sinking a little bit, but they're still sitting at 570,000 in sales or something like that.
Wow.
That's huge for a truck.
Pickup truck.
Ram, these guys are in the mid 5s. They're closing in on these guys. They're not there yet, but these guys could be the number 2 vehicle in the next little while. Never know. So they're building pretty good looking trucks, But they're, again, loyalty is huge with these ones, right? So what else we have here? Let me show you some other stuff. So pie chart wise, it's kind of interesting because there's 81% Ford, Chevy, and Ram. That's 81% of the pie right there. There's GMC. They got a pretty good chunk, GMC, but that's they're obviously related to these guys. And then there's the chart that shows 8.2% is made up of us and Toyota. So Toyota sales have been sinking, not overall, but their Tundra sales have come down a little bit. So a couple years ago, they sold about 116,000, 112,000 last year. We've actually doubled in size. So if we sold close to 50,000 last year in 17, remember the year before we sold 23,000. So our little piece of sliver, it's still really small, but it's double the size of what we saw a year ago when we were showing you these charts. So it's getting better. So we think we're stealing a little bit maybe from here, a little bit from there, but we're getting a bunch of business from the Tundra. So Tundra's a good truck. It's just expensive. I was online looking at the price on brand new ones last night. I'm going like, vehicle prices keep going up and up. Yeah, but they're expensive over there. Okay. So anyway, let's keep on rolling, shall we? Come on, baby. There we go. We already talked about this, the Titan lineup. So there's the Titan. So that's the regular cab, or not the regular cab, the regular size Titan. There's the XD with the big frame on it. Remember, the regular Titan, we can't get the diesel, but we can do single cab, king cab, and crew cab. Same thing with the big one, but the big one gets diesel or gas. But the main thing about this chart is that no matter which one you take a look at, every version is available in 4x4 or 4x2. Okay, so depending on what people want to do. If they want to do some off-roading, great, we got it for them. If they want to do some towing, we got 4x2. If I want to do towing, by the way, we talk a little bit about towing and things like that. If I want to do towing and I want to get a vehicle, the vehicle that's going to tow the most, do I want to get a 4x4 or 4x2?
2 4x4.
Why do you say 4x4?
Because the load capacity is probably better, the gear ratio is probably better, and there's a fifth wheel hitch in the bed of the four-wheel drive system.
Okay, so the XD is going to get that. But here's the thing, if you take a look at the charts and you want to actually tow the most or carry the most, you want to go 4x2. You want to go 4x2 because why? For maximum amount of number, weight number. Why do you think that is?
Gross vehicle weight.
Right. So remember, 4x4s are carrying around an extra bunch of transaxle and stuff like that under the bottom of the vehicle. It weighs more.
Okay.
So the engine size doesn't change. So if I go from a 4x2 to a 4x4, the 4x4 weighs more, but so that engine has to tow around or pull around more weight. So if you buy a vehicle that's a 4x4 and it weighs, say, 500 pounds more than the 4x2, 500 pounds instantaneously has to come off your payload capacity because it takes up some of the payload, plus your towing capacity drops by that amount. Because the engine size doesn't get any bigger, but already just the way the vehicle's configured, it's got to pull more weight around, right? So it's kind of funny because people just don't realize that. And one of the challenges we have at Nissan is that we are not known as a truck brand. We're not known as truck salespeople. So it's great when I meet some people that come over from Ford or Chevy and they got quite a bit of truck training because we got to have truck training. That's why we do more of this stuff all the time. Because when people show up to buy trucks at our dealerships, they usually know what they're talking about. So we were a little bit under-equipped when we said we're going to launch this XD diesel. It's going to have a Cummins in it. It's going to have a fifth wheel option, all this other stuff. And then all these guys started coming to the dealerships saying, okay, great, let's talk about this. What's that DEF fluid? Let's talk about tongue weights. Let's talk about towing and hauling and stuff like that. And we're going like, I'm not really sure what he's talking about. That was our challenge because we were never trained as truck people. So that's why this is the 5th time I've come in and talked about trucks with you guys. Because they're like, what trucks? What are you talking about? We don't sell too many trucks. Anyway, let's keep rolling, shall we? You guys have any questions too, jump in, by the way.
Do they
Shaheen,
have
I'm
a
waiting for
pre-runner
some
kit?
comments. What's
They
that?
have like a pre-runner kit where it's a 2-wheel drive and it's lifted and it's a dealer lifted package. Toyota has.
No. So dealers are doing accessories to lift them and stuff like that to help sell them, because there's a dealership in Texas right now. I think there's an article on this one online, but they'll actually take all their Titans, for example, lift them up, put them up in the front, and they look way kind of bigger and badder. So it
Yeah,
helps
I've
in
seen
sales. Yeah, there's an article on that that's actually one of the dealerships there is doing that specifically.
Are they using factory or dealer parts?
They're using accessory parts. So everything that comes from the factory stuff, but aftermarket stuff, yeah. So they're glitzing up a little bit and then selling them, marking them up. Yes, sir.
The Pro 4X. Can you talk about that?
Pro 4X?
Yeah.
So so that's kind of our off-road version, right?
Okay.
So we're gonna have a limited slip differential back there. There's more skid plates on the bottom of that as well. So that's kind of a cool version, because everybody's got to have kind of the version that's going to be the big off-road vehicle. So you guys know we know that we do the Pro 4X in the Frontier, also in the Titan. So it's actually a really big seller. So 4x4, if you want to do some off-roading and things like that, that's probably the one to have. So pretty cool. It's got different paint on it. It says Pro 4X on it. So they're in some pretty good demand for sure. Okay. You guys know there's a bunch of studies that are out there. Obviously, car buyers spend a lot of time shopping. You can read through these things if you like. But we find now is that over the last bunch of years, more and more people are spending more and more time online doing research before they show up in a dealership.
Oh, yeah.
So now the average person spends more than 20 hours online understanding what they're looking for, pricing, models, colors, options packages, stuff like that, before they show up anywhere. The old days was, not that long ago, mid-2000s, the average person at the time was a big deal. They would spend 7 hours online doing research. And then they'd show up in a dealership. Then they'd visit 3 or 4 dealerships, and they would test drive 3 or 4 or 5 different vehicles, and their buying process was longer. The buying process now is getting shorter and shorter. People are showing up, for example, they want to show up at one dealership. Hopefully they can hammer out the